The boy had not spoken in 11 days. That was the number the nurses whispered outside room 41-2. The number that followed Marcus Webb everywhere he went in that hospital, minus down the corridor, into the elevator, out through the glass doors, and into the gray morning air where he stood, every day at 6 a.m. smoking a cigarette. He never finished. 11 days. 11 days. His son Ellie, 9 years old, had simply closed his mouth after the accident and refused to open it again. The neurologists called it psychogenic mutism. Marcus called it his fault. He was worth $4 billion, and he could not buy his child a single word. The hospital garden was where he went, when the room felt too small, and the doctors felt too careful with their language. It was a neglected patch of ground behind the east wing, minus a few benches, a dead fountain, some lavender that had somehow survived without anyone caring for it. Marcus sat there the morning after the second specialist told him there was nothing more to try. He, Bosin 20, did not cry. He had forgotten how she was sitting on the other end of his bench. He had not noticed her arrive. She looked about 12, maybe younger, with a canvas backpack that had a broken zipper and shoes that were 2 sizes too big. She was drawing something in a small notebook, pressing so hard the pencil nearly tore through the page. She did not look up when she spoke. "You come here every morning," she said, "but you never look at the lavender." Marcus stared at her. "What? People who are sad look at the ground. People who are waiting for something look at the door. You look at the ground and the door." She finally glanced up. Her eyes were older than her face. "Who are you waiting for to fix it?" He should have walked away. He was Marcus Webb. He did not explain himself to strangers on benches, but something about the directness of her minus the absence of pity in her voice minus made him stay. Her name was Dina. She had been sleeping in the hospital chapel for 3 weeks because the shelter across the street had a broken heater and the chapel stayed warm until 10. She said this the way someone reports the weather. No performance, no request, just fact. "Why are you here every day?" she asked. He told her about Eli. He did not mean to tell her everything, minus the accident, the silence, the specialists. The way Eli looked at him now from the hospital bed, like Marcus, was a stranger who had wandered into the wrong room. But once he started, he could not find a place to stop. Dina listened without interrupting. That was rare enough to be its own kind of kindness. "My mom stopped talking to me too," she said when he finished. "Not because of an accident. She just decided I was too much. Some people go quiet when they're drowning. They're not mad. They're asking you to stay without knowing how to say it." The sentence landed somewhere in Marcus's chest and did not leave. He brought her a sandwich from the cafeteria that afternoon. She accepted it without making it into anything. The next day she asked if she could meet Eli and Marcus for reasons he could not explain logically, said yes. She walked into room 412 and sat in the chair beside the bed and opened her notebook. She did not speak to Eli. She just drew. After 20 minutes, Eli leaned over slightly to look at what she was drawing. She tilted the notebook toward him. He looked for a long time. She came back the next day, and the day after. On the 4th visit, she drew a horse and got the legs wrong on purpose. Eli reached out and touched the page. Then he picked up the pencil she left beside the notebook. He fixed the legs. He did not speak, but his hands moved, and that was the first movement toward the world he had made in weeks. 3 weeks later, in the hospital garden, Eli said his first word. It was her name. There were meals after that, minus the 3 of them in the cafeteria. Eli eating slowly, Dina explaining with complete seriousness why orange juice tasted better in small cups. There was an evening Marcus brought a proper sketchbook, and Dina's eyes went wide in a way she quickly tried to hide. There was a night Eli fell asleep mid-sentence and Marcus and Dina sat in the corridor, and she told him about her mother in the same tone she used for everything, minus flat on the surface, enormous underneath. "You're not what I expected," he told her. "What did you expect?" He thought about it honestly. "Someone I could help." She smiled, not a child's smile. "Something older and more complicated. You did help, you stayed. The day Eli was discharged, he walked out through the glass doors holding his new sketchbook under one arm. He stopped on the steps, turned around, and looked at the garden minus the dead fountain, the lavender, the bench, where nothing important had happened and everything had changed. Marcus stood beside him in the cold morning air. No cigarette this time. He looked at the lavender,